there, it's Amanda, and today I want to share with you a little conversation that I had. Earlier this week I was meeting with a group of parents and we were talking about just different workshop strategies and things to support our family's best health and happiness. And it came to this topic of feeling completely overwhelmed and uncertain when you don't know what to do to help your child. And I'm sure you can relate to this situation. I was speaking to a woman who was talking about her daughter really having a hard time with some friends at school. So the mornings have gotten really hard for them. In fact, her daughter procrastinates and doesn't want to get dressed and everything to just avoid getting out the door and going to school because she's dreading it so much. And her mom is really being affected by it because she doesn't know what to do to help make it better. In fact, she feels kind of powerless because it's like, well, what can I do? I can't change what's happening at school with her friends. And I know that feeling when you're in the space of just uncertainty and feeling completely powerless in how to help your child. It's really hard as a parent. So I want to give you a tool that one of my coaches shared with me, and this is so powerful. It's simple and effective. So it's great. In fact, I have this worksheet here. She calls it Once Impossible, Now Easy. And this is, like I said, one of my coaches, Fabian Fredrickson, taught me this, and I use it all the time because it is that powerful. And it's the idea of learning from what has worked for you in the past. You know, as a mom, you've had many successes and experiences and even challenges that you've gone through in the past, and you've been able to learn and grow from them. Because the truth of the matter is we all will have challenges throughout the rest of our lives because challenges are the opportunities to allow us to grow and to look at things from a new perspective. So if you think of it from the way that you're either growing or you're dying, you'd probably rather be growing. So continuing to grow means you will continue to have challenges. So the way to get through challenges with more ease and grace and clarity is to learn from things that have worked in your past. So this exercise, this tool, Once Impossible, Now Easy, is just a matter of, I have a list here. You can take a piece of paper and jot a line down the middle of the paper, and on the left-hand column put Once Impossible, and write down 12 to 15 things that at one point seemed impossible for you to do, for you to accomplish, or for you to move through and experience. And start way back when you were a kid, right? These are things that at one day they seemed like an impossible task, and yet now they're easy. So things like learning how to walk, right? When you were a 2-month-old, you probably didn't think of it this way, but it seemed pretty impossible to imagine getting upright and being able to walk across the room. Now, obviously, you don't even think twice about walking. Or maybe it's learning how to swim or learning how to ride a bike. On my list, I have things like graduating from high school. You know, when I was probably a first grader or kindergarten, that seemed nearly impossible. The idea of how in the heck am I going to graduate from high school? Participating on a cheerleading squad or getting a job after college. All of the things that we have in our life accomplished, just start to brainstorm and jot down in that left-hand column things that you have achieved and things that you've experienced and moved through in your life, how you've been able to grow. And then the next piece is where the magic comes in. Write down how did you do it? And you will start to see these common themes and different elements emerge that are probably your consistent pattern of success. So for example, something that comes up over and over for me is, how did I do it? Well, first of all, I had a positive expectation. I believed that I would learn how to walk. Everyone around me was walking, and I knew that it was something I could achieve and accomplish at some point. I believed I would graduate from high school. I believed I would get a job after college. So having that positive expectation is at the top of my list. The next thing is surrounding myself with a group of people. I like to do things around other people and to be experiencing something together, like participating on a cheerleading squad or even graduating from college. I had a pretty intimate group in my December grad class in my accounting program at the University of Iowa, and we had all of our classes together, so seeing those familiar faces and kind of studying for exams together was a large part in what allowed for my success. Another thing that comes up for me is learning strategically from teachers or coaches, or having people that kind of have a roadmap to lay out in front of what is a successful path and what works and what has worked in the past, so I can follow that roadmap or follow that strategy. Another thing is really just taking consistent action, you know, doing it repetitively and not giving up, not trying once or twice and then saying, oh, this will never work, I'm done. But taking that consistent action and allowing it to be something that happens in time, right? So what is it that comes up for you when you think about the things that you have succeeded in accomplishing or experiencing in your life, and how did you do it? What are those key elements? I know I have some people tell me, that they lost weight before their wedding and they were in the best shape of their life. Well, how did they do it? They went to group fitness classes and they were doing it with kind of accountability of some friends and in a community. Other people said that they studied really hard for an exam to pass the bar. How did they do it? Well, they took consistent action and just plotted it on their calendar and made it happen. So what is it about your success? What is your unique pattern of success that allows you to create and experience what you want and how you've grown, and use that as a starting point for how you're going to approach supporting your child? And what I mean by that is it really comes down to when we as parents gain clarity, when we can get into a sense of feeling empowered and having a game plan of how we can move forward, maybe carving out that strategy or coming up with a positive expectation of what we think is possible, and really surrounding yourself with a community. These are key elements that I find over and over have been really successful in the moms that I work with and the moms that I coach. But what is it uniquely that works for you? What are your elements to success? So I encourage you to take, 10 minutes out of your day, probably not even 10 minutes, and jot this down. Print off the handout in this blog post and write down what was once impossible that has now become easy for you, and how did you do it? And you will have your own secret success formula. Thanks, and I will see you real soon.